All right, happy Friday, everybody. And before I wanted to get started, I just wanted to talk about how much ACL injuries we've had this week in the NFL because
A lot of people
a
went
lot
down
of
with
people,
ACLs.
man, Michael Parsons, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, even the thought of seeing the Chiefs out of the playoffs is like crazy to me.
I mean, the fact that it's happening in such an unceremonious way, it's a beautiful sight to behold. I
It
feel
is a
like.
beautiful sight, yeah. The fact that you have like Eagles legend Gardner Minshew going out there
Exactly.
throwing the interception on the final play of the game.
You got Patrick Mahomes' wife freaking out on Twitter.
Of course you do. You got Travis Kelce having to go home and deal with 70-pound Taylor Swift. But besides that, welcome everyone. Across from me is a sick Tyler, and I'm Andrew, but
We're powering
he's
through
gonna
today.
power through. It's
Powering through.
actually really hot in this room.
Yeah,
But it's like
and
60 degrees outside, and
I
it doesn't
didn't-
feel good.
I didn't wear anything under the sweatshirt, so
Jesus.
I'm sweating through it, man. Sweating through
Jeez,
the
it's not even
show.
like a wife beater.
Nope. Got just a nice white sweatshirt on. So this is gonna be very uncomfortable show,
Yeah.
but the show must go on, man. The show must go on.
Nah, show must go on. But if you haven't checked Twitter this morning, the Phillies have traded Matt Strahm to the Kansas City Royals. But last night, Jeff Passan tweeted out on an article on ESPN that Matt Strahm was the most likeliest to get traded.
Mm-hmm.
Now Matt Strahm is traded to the Royals. The Phillies got right-handed reliever Jonathan Ballin in return. And when I see this Matt Strahm getting traded, being one of the more trusted guys in the bullpen for the Phillies, and I just see this as like a salary dump.
I mean, when it's obviously a salary dump for the fact that you basically didn't get anything of what you were thinking you would get in a return.
Because when you trade a guy in Jonathan Ballin who's got a 4.32 career ERA, 3.86 ERA this year with 1.2 WHIP. I mean, there's some upside. Who knows how this guy could be? I'm not going to make I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, this guy stinks already.
No, it's not like Jordan Romano numbers or anything close to that.
It's not like him, but
It's a flyer.
It's a flyer. Yeah,
You
the
know?
Phillies could have gotten something out of. The Phillies could have gotten more.
It
I feel
reminds
like, from
me
Matt Strahm.
of the offseason last year, the very beginning of spring training. They made that trade with the Royals for Hernandez, right?
Yeah,
Carlos
Carlos Hernandez, and look how that turned out.
Right, but it's the same type of thing where it's like, he's not going to cost too much money. Got some upside by the fact he throws hard.
The Phillies shed $7.5 million, but I would
Right.
suppose they use that for a bat. I mean, if you're going to use that and try to retain JT Realmuto, which
I think that's what it might be for, potentially. Because I don't know how the pricing went with
I want a better
the
bat.
Keller trade.
I want a better bat. Like, I'm not sitting here with, JT Realmuto at, 16, 17 million AAV being like, dude, seriously? This guy is regressing as a catcher, and we just had to trade one of our better relievers in order to get this catcher back when we could have just, I don't know, maybe developed some catchers instead of having to rely on JT.
Now, there is one thing that I will say for JT that I'm sure plays into Dave Dombrowski and the front office's decision on JT, where even though he is old and declining, it's not really like they have any better option other than JT, but also the fact that so many guys on this staff love throwing to JT, and they love having JT call their games, and I think that is one of the key factors in why they're not trying to actively look for someone else to be able to play catcher on this team. I'm not hearing anything in the trade market about them looking
The
for
thing with
catchers. It's
JT is-
literally just JT.
What you said with JT is like, yeah, it's a good point. Everyone likes throwing at JT, but why is JT taking all this time to sign a contract? If
He's holding out for a third year.
he's holding out for a third year, but he's not getting a third year. He's getting
No,
a second year.
He's not going to get a third year. If no team has offered him a third year yet, they're probably not going to.
No one's going to offer him a third year unless it's an option for a third year.
Right. And I mean, there is the potential, I guess, that Baltimore can move Rutschman, and then if Baltimore then makes an offer to JT, that JT might be able to use that to dangle over the Phillies.
The Red Sox have been getting in there with
Yep.
JT, and the San Francisco Giants have been getting in there with JT. But I'm just saying, like, what would you want for the Giants? To me, for JT, it's confusing because, I mean, Patrick Bailey is not a good hitting catcher, but I mean, he's the best framing catcher in the entire sport. So and JT's framing has been regressing over the past 2 seasons. I would take Patrick Bailey over JT, even though it guarantees me a free out in some stances. I'd take that defense all day, especially at the catcher position where defense is, very crucial.
Yeah, and that's one of the other things that's great about JT is he's got that lateral quickness to be able to block stuff in the dirt that a lot of other catchers don't have. So this staff is able to throw any pitch basically whenever they want to. And that goes a long way to making your entire pitching staff feel comfortable. And the biggest thing, or at least the biggest thing in my mind, and this hasn't been confirmed by anything, but if Zach Wheeler's coming back, he's coming back to throw to JT. He's not coming back to throw to Marchand.
Most likely. He's not going to be throwing to
Stubbs. He's not coming back to throw to some new guy like Kirk Caselli or some bullshit that's out there on the market. He's coming back here to throw to JT. And if they want to keep their $41 million investment or $42 million investment happy and on track to still pitch again next season, they probably have to bring back JT. Well, because I don't know who else Wheeler throws to.
The thing is, and JT needs to stop being a bitch, and he needs to just take the Phillies offer, because the pitchers for the Phillies are going to start complaining, and then JT's going to be complaining that he's not getting enough money, and now everyone's in a debacle.
What I've heard from Zielecki is JT is not going to sign until after the new year, most likely. So I guess he's still fielding offers, or either that,
fielding offers for a 240 bat.
Either he's still fielding offers, or he's still just trying to make a decision, or he's just not really worried about it with, the holiday season going on.
I guess he's not worried about it yet with the holidays.
He's like, I'll just worry about it after, I'll just worry about it next year. Which is something that you usually see from guys who are towards the end of their career. Like it makes sense that one of the older guys is going to sit there and take his time, because you got to think, it's not like JT's going to get another contract after this. So
if it is a contract, it's most likely a minor league contract.
Right. So he's going to hold this thing out for whatever he can potentially get for as long as possible, just from a selling yourself standpoint as like a player. Like you're coming towards the end of your career, this is the last contract that you're probably going to get before you retire. You want to make sure you maximize the value that you make for yourself in that final contract. So I'm sure that also plays into why he hasn't signed. I don't think there's any indication that he's going to sign anywhere other than here. Even though I've heard stuff about Boston, it doesn't really seem like he's jumping at the opportunity to go there, or else he would have already signed.
Boston would have been like,
you know what I mean?
Snapping their fingers like, let's get this deal done, because Boston hasn't done anything this offseason.
Right. And if they really wanted to make a splash by signing a big flashy name, JT would have been one of the, obvious names that you could probably get in. Splashy, don't have to pay too much, so you can still go after other free agents, and it still hasn't happened.
That's the thing. Like I'm thinking that the Phillies can still go after another free agent, because it's not like John Middleton is like, he's not broke. He has plenty of money, and he's willing to spend it, and you can tell running it back with the same core isn't clearly working. They need to make some adjustments, whether that comes from the farm system or it comes from the free agency market. Some player is going to be taken out for another. It's inevitable.
Well, you're trying to save money somehow, some way, to be able to get other guys in here. And there's not a lot of avenues in where you can actually save money. Strahm was one of the only actual guys you could move off of.
That's saving you $7.5 million.
Right.
That compared to Nick
But
Castellanos, $20 million. That's not
right, but here's my point.
in the
Nick
weather.
Castellanos has gotten $20 million to be a piece of shit player. What reality is $7.5 million freeing up enough money for you to actually sign someone
Exactly.
decent? So they would have to make another move of some kind.
If they can find a team that's stupid enough to take Nick Castellanos' contract, then I would love that. But with the way I've been hearing rumors about Nick saying that the Phillies are begging for someone to take him, I mean that's really desperate when you have
Well,
a report coming out that says that they are begging to take him.
this is also from Todd Zalecki. There's virtually no trade market for Castellanos, and if Castellanos were to be moved in a trade at all, it will not happen until later on in the offseason when there's 0 right-handed bats left available, and the last team that needs a right-handed bat is willing to make a sacrifice. So,
And it's going to be one of those trashy small market teams that
yeah, he's not
don't
gonna
refuse to spend, like the Miami Marlins or the Angels or the Pirates or something like that. So you're not going to be getting a whole lot in return for Nick Castellanos, and even if they do cut him, no team is going to sign him for more than the league minimum.
And plus, you're not going to be able to free up that contract how quickly you need to, because as what Todd Zalecki just said in that report, he's going to be moved later in the offseason once all the other dominoes have fallen. So at that point, it's already too late. You freed up the $20 million,
and that's not going to
happen
until like the start of spring training.
Yeah.
Even I would be happy if they just
or the end of January, beginning of February.
I would even be happy if they, traded him to another team and the Phillies paid like 50 to 60% of the contract just to get him off the team.
It's still saving him $10 million if you offer to eat 50% of the contract.
Pretty much.
And if you're able to do that and somehow get some team to take the $10 million that Bohm gets, you're freeing up almost $30 million for you to be able to sign someone. And at that point, you could sign virtually anyone, probably outside of Kyle Tucker, who's probably going to command like 32 to 35.
Yeah, Kyle Tucker is probably going to be around that 35,
but you could
$40 million range.
You could probably get away with giving Bregman 28.
Yeah, Bregman, I could definitely see, especially since Bregman said he wanted a long-term deal.
Like, you could get away with giving him 28.
But
how many years do you give him?
That begs the question for Aiden Miller, because what about Aiden Miller?
Yeah, and what position
is he going to play?
Do they think he's going to play when he does come up?
And then hear this article
short,
right here.
Second, third? Like, where's he going to play?
This is an article from Barry M. Blue. He covers MLB for Forbes for like the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
Cody Bellinger looking at an 8-year deal worth $400 million.
That's a bad contract for whoever gives that.
That is going to be like a terrible contract. I mean,
isn't he 31?
I believe he's 30. But like seriously, $40 million? This is the first reply. I would rather let Mr. Met play center field than giving Cody Bellinger that contract. I mean, that's insane, dude. This is like
that is an insane. Cody Bellinger is not worth that much.
He's not worth that much, and he's not getting that contract.
Is there really a team out there that would give him that much money? I find that hard to believe.
No, he's not like that good of a player to be giving that type of money. I mean, if he played...
I mean, he had a fantastic year last year. He had a WAR of 7.7 or something? It was just underneath Schwarber, I think.
If he never had that like decline after his 2019 season where he won the MVP, then there's a possibility he could be getting that contract.
Yeah.
But not with the decline he just had.
Well, it's the fact that he had the decline, had a bounce-back year, then had a bad year, and then had another bounce back year.
So is it going to be like a revolving door where it's just a bounce back year after a bad year, and it's just like a cycle?
Which version are you getting? Are you getting the bad, or are you getting the bounce back?
Are you getting Cody Bellinger that's going to turn to Nick Castellanos, or are you going to get the Cody Bellinger who played like Cody Bellinger in 2019? It's a loophole.
How do you feel about this Adolis Garcia trade? Or not trade, signing.
The signing, yeah.
How do you feel?
Adolis Garcia, I mean, there's a lot of upside in him. Well, he's a fantastic defender. He's going to be way better than what Nick Castellanos was in right field, and I love that. He's got plus 36 defensive run saves since 2021, which is second among all outfielders.
Yeah, he's a very good defensive outfielder.
the guy in front of him is Dalton Varsho with like 80.
Who is once again
Fantastic outfielder. Much better defense. He's got some power. He's been battling injuries these past 2 seasons, which is why he didn't have really a great year. It's a low risk, high reward signing. So he's got power. He shows that he can be at an all-star talent. He's made the all-star team twice. He had a really good ALCS when the Rangers won that World Series.
Yes, he did.
So there's definitely some upside. And if he can show his 2023 form, then it's going to be a great signing.
Now,
actually, hold on, wait. I have a better description. I feel like this is going to be like more of like a Dallas Goedert type thing, where now he's going to be going into a contract year, and this is his chance to show off, and like what Dallas Goedert is doing, showing off. And we'll get to the Eagles in a couple of minutes, but.
Now, the only reason I bring that up about Garcia is because there's a lot of similarities between him at the plate and Castellanos at the plate.
There is, yeah. He's kind of like a Nick Castellanos type hitter.
He is. So all the people that are annoyed with the chasing the slider outside the zone, that's still going to be there. All the people that are annoyed with the horrible chase rate, walk rate, strikeout rate. Adolis Garcia is the same type of hitter where he's not going to walk a lot. He's not really going to get on base a lot. He's going to strike out a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to take a look at his Savant page right now. Yeah, he's got a K rate of 24.7%. He's got a chase rate of 35%.
That's one of the highest in all of Major League Baseball. Yeah, he's got a high chase rate,
but the fielding is kind of what cuts him off. That's the reason how he was able to accumulate 3 WAR. He's got an arm strength of 91.9 miles an hour. He's got 1 OAA. He's got good arm value. So the fielding is there, but the hitting is going to be a question mark.
The hitting is basically going to be just another version of Castellanos. So anyone that thinks that Garcia is just going to come in here and...
Unless he pulls off some 2023 shit.
Right, but that seems to be more of like the... What's that word that you use when it's like a one-off? It starts with an A. Not an A. It's like the outlier.
Okay, the outlier?
Yeah, it's like his one like outlier year. Because all the other years, he's got...
2021 was a good year.
Chase rate of like 30% at least. Strikeout rate of right around...
maybe something could change.
22.
And he's going to be hitting in a hitter-friendly ballpark.
Maybe Kevin Long can actually get through to him.
Kevin Long can get through to him. Maybe he doesn't bitch about the fans. Like, why are they booing when we play bad?
Well, it took a while to get Castellanos to that point.
Mm-hmm.
It took 4 years of him not living up to his expectations.
It took 4 years with Simmons too. Now look at that.
Right. Garcia is only here for the 1, so I don't really think anything is gonna happen that's too drastic. With him on a 1-year contract. But
anything is possible. Let's talk about the fans, the booing and stuff, because getting mad at the fans, and I wanted to come back to Matt Strahm because we didn't talk about how he was getting mad at the coaches that they didn't want to do PFPs, and then pitchers fielding practice, that's routine, and you're getting mad because you don't want to do PFPs. Well, look what happened in the freaking playoffs. So Ryan Kerkering can't make accurate throw to home plate, and
he panicked in the situation because he didn't know what to do.
That's a PFP right there.
Yep. That is exactly why.
And you're getting
PFP.
mad because you don't want to do a PFP that costed your team to be eliminated from the playoffs, and you're getting mad at that. Yeah.
So it does kind of make sense when you see like, oh wow, this is an underwhelming return. Well, that's probably the reason why.
The Royals can go, screw off with Matt Strahm and his 91-mile-an-hour fastball.
And I feel like the fact that they didn't really get anything in return for him leads me to believe that either the rest of the league already knew this, like they already knew that he was blowing up at coaches, like someone potentially could have said something to another organization.
With what I saw with Harry Ford and the Nationals getting Jose Ferrer, you really think we couldn't trade Matt Strahm for Harry Ford? But the Mariners must have knew
Only thing
some
is
BS with the coaches.
Jose Ferrer is still young. He's like 24. Strahm is what, like 32?
Matt Strahm's 31.
31. Yeah. So that's even if I still don't think that the Mariners would have went for Strahm. Strahm wasn't really the guy that I was thinking would be involved in a trade for Harry Ford. If anything, I was thinking it would be Alec Bohm. Because, just fits the need for the Mariners of, well, they need someone that obviously can play third base, and they need someone that isn't going to strike out a ton and that's going to get on base, because what happened to them in the postseason last year, they didn't get on base enough. They struck out way too much. Alec Bohm does not profile as some guy that's going to strike out a bunch, and he is going to put the ball in play. So I just thought that logically that would have made sense as, all right, Bohm fits the need of what the Mariners are looking for, and Ford fits the need of what the Phillies are looking for. But there must have been... There's got to be something else that the Mariners are trying to do, whether that's re-sign Eugenio Suarez maybe, which I could see them definitely bringing him back, or they have to have some other plan for third base, because right now their third baseman's Ben Williamson, who was a guy that played in like 40 games for them last year.
Yeah,
and
they're
hit like
going to be having
212.
to. They're definitely going to be wanting to re-sign Eugenio Suarez.
Yeah,
It's going to command a lot of money though, but
they got to have some type of plan for what they're doing at third base.
The fans love him in Seattle.
Because Alec Bohm, I thought, would have made so much sense for them in that ballpark.
Yeah,
the
right
fielding
now,
has been
right
much
now
improved.
third base is Leo Rivas and Miles Mastrobuoni.
Right, which I'm sure if you were to ask anyone within that organization if they were comfortable with that third base, position group heading into the season, they would all say no. And that they'd be looking for something that's a little bit better than what they have. But I guess Bohm wasn't what they were interested in. I guess Bohm's profile or whatever, either that or the Phillies just were asking for too much.
It could be. It could be the Phillies were just asking for too much. I feel like.
And if
this shit happened last offseason.
It depends on if you were just offering them Bohm for Ford straight up, maybe as the Mariners, I could see why they wouldn't take that. But also as the Phillies, you wouldn't be willing to part with anything more than Alec Bohm. There were definitely other guys that you would have been or could have been able to move. You could have moved a bullpen arm with Alec Bohm over there. Would they be willing?
You could have done Matt Strahm and Alec Bohm.
I was about to say, would they be willing to take on $17 million in salary when they're still probably trying to re-sign some free agents or sign other guys? Mm-hmm. That I'm not entirely sure about. But you still could have probably given them Alec Bohm and some prospect. Like Alec Bohm and, I don't know, they don't really need starting pitching, so it would have to be
we'll just say Alec Bohm
pitcher.
And random prospect from minors.
Yeah, and that would have filled their need at third base. It would have filled it for only $10 million instead of having to give Eugenio Suarez probably close to 30, and probably would have opened them up to potentially extend Randy Arozarena because he's on the last year of his contract right now, and I'm not sure what they feel as to whether or not they want to keep him or not.
They already got Josh Naylor.
Yeah, and they brought him back for not a shit ton of money.
Yeah, they brought him back for $90 million in 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years, 90-something million. So they got a nice bargain with Josh Naylor. And they're not a team that is going to go out there and usually spend like 30 to 35 million on a contract for one guy.
Yeah, the last time they actually did give out that type of money was to Julio Rodriguez. And Julio Rodriguez is like one of their superstars.
He still hasn't even hit that part of his contract yet. Mm-hmm. He's still playing out the arbitration years.
Yeah, that contract doesn't even hit.
Yeah, I think this is his first year of arbitration, so he's probably going to make 3 to 4 million, and that's it. The last time they gave out a contract of that type of magnitude was Robinson Cano. And
look how that turned
out for them.
It
turns out that they were giving all that money to some guy that was roided up, and then once he went off of it, he fucking sucked.
Yeah. So clearly the steroids do something to you.
Yeah. Because Robinson Cano was not even close to the same guy after coming back from that suspension and no longer being on steroids. He wasn't even close to being the same player that he was.
Because he bounced around from a bunch of different teams. He was on the Mets.
He was on the Mets
Braves,
for a little bit.
the Padres. So he just never found his footing after the steroids.
Which usually happens if you're not that good and the steroids make you good.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, remember Johnny Peralta? That, like, heavier set shortstop that was hitting, like, 30 home runs a year?
Yep.
Then he got
for
busted,
steroids.
and then I had no idea what happened to him after that. Like, never saw him, I feel like. After he got busted for steroids. Maybe saw him in a couple of games here and there.
The only one who has gotten clear of that steroids in, like, the past few years is, like, Fernando Tatis.
Yeah.
Because they busted him for steroids, but he's still playing at a superstar type level.
Yeah, he's still playing at his same caliber. But it's not usually the way it goes when you get these types of guys that get busted for this stuff. And I'm sure that with that, like, memory, because I think Dipoto was there for the end of that. Like, the current president of baseball operations that they have, Dipoto, he wasn't the guy that gave Cano the contract, but I think he was the guy that traded it away.
Well, he traded him away for a damn good reason.
Yeah, he did. He traded it away, and he actually was able to get a little bit of something, which is why they were competitive, like, from 2018 to, like, 2021, because they actually did get stuff of value back for Robinson Cano. Like, they got Jared Kelenic in that trade.
Yeah.
For Robinson Cano.
But they also gave up Edwin Diaz in that trade, too.
Yes, they did. So it was probably a good deal for both sides, just for the fact that the Mets got Diaz for those 5 years. But I just think that the Mariners were like, do we want to take on $17.5 million for guys that we're not able to sign long term, and we're not entirely sure if we even really want them? Probably not. But the Phillies have got to be able to move at least one of these contracts if they really want to have a shot of signing another free agent outside of JT Realmuto. Because if all they have plans to do is re-sign JT Realmuto, they probably don't have to trade anyone
They're not going to
else.
be, finding any success. They're just going to be running it back. And
Essentially, they're running it back, but they're swapping out Castellanos.
They're swapping out Castellanos.
Swapping out Bader in center with Crawford,
and then Marsh is in left.
And then
you're swapping out Strahm now for, I guess, Brad Keller, which we haven't got to yet. But
right. I was also going to say you're swapping out. Who's the guy that I'm thinking of? Oh, you're swapping out Ranger for Painter.
Yeah, but that's your number one prospect that you've been
exactly
looking at for years. But
who really did not have a great year last year.
He did not.
So there's no guarantee as to how he's going to be this year. Hopefully he's able to come in here and be the fifth starter that this team needs. But if he's not able to be that fifth starter, there's not a lot of pitching depth right now on this team. With the uncertainty of Wheeler, with the uncertainty of how Aaron Nola is going to look next year, the only thing you can really pencil in right now is that Christopher Sanchez and Jesus Luzardo are your top two guys. And then it's a very big question mark after those two. When's Wheeler come back? What does he look like when he comes back? Is Nola actually healthy? What does Nola actually look like? Is he only going to be able to give you 5 innings at this point in his career, where he's not going to be able to go more than that?
Nola is a question. Wheeler is a question. Painter's a question. Walker is a question.
Yep.
Only one who isn't a question is Christopher Sanchez.
Yeah, Sanchez and Luzardo are the only two guys.
Yeah, Sanchez and Luzardo, yep.
And Luzardo's going to be leaving after this year unless they're able to sign him to some type of extension. So unless they got guys in the minor league system that they just have been tentative to call up for some reason, which Phillies are always very tentative with their prospects, especially pitching prospects. I feel like calling them up at a young age, they just don't do it. But you can see that with the fact that Griff McGarry just got drafted by the Nationals, and he's 25 years old, and he hasn't been brought up to the major leagues once. This is a guy that probably has the talent to be up here, yet he never was given the opportunity to actually come up here because the Phillies, as an organization, don't usually promote young pitchers. when they promoted Orion Kerkering, that wasn't out of the plan. That was out of necessity of the fact that they didn't have anyone for their bullpen.
I mean, and Ryan Kerkering has been, very good over these past few years.
Right, he's been very, very good. But if the Phillies actually had their chance or had it the way that they wanted to 2 years ago, they probably wouldn't have called Kerkering up at that point. Because that's just not what they do. They don't call up young guys to take over
unless they're like balling out in AAA or AA or whatever.
Right.
Then they'll call them up.
But look how long it took Otto Kemp last year to ball out in AAA before he finally got called up here.
Yeah, it took him June?
Till mid-July, I think it was, when he finally got called up.
No, it was like
here.
June.
It was June? So it took, what? Basically almost 60 to 75 days of him raking at AAA for them to call him up, and he's a 25-year-old prospect. At some point, you got to start getting these guys up here earlier. You can't keep waiting until they're 25, 24,
but they're foreshadowed by the fake daycare, which is, always on their bullshit.
Yeah, because Alec Boehm definitely is a guy that should pigeonhole someone, some prospect of getting his shot, right?
Alec Boehm, the 30-year-old man-child.
Yeah, he's definitely a guy that you're
holding the prospects captive.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you guys were trying to move Alec Boehm at the start of the year last year. So don't give me some, BS that, oh, we really like Alec Boehm. You have been trying to move off of Alec Boehm for 2 years now. You haven't been able to do it. Been trying to move off of Castellanos for 3 years now. Haven't been able to do it.
Trying to move off of Walker for 2 years. Haven't been able to do it.
Exactly. Guess what? You have young guys, at all three of those positions that you could have called up at some point last season that you decided not to. Adam Miller, didn't call him up. Justin Crawford, didn't call him up. Andrew Painter, Griff McGarry, any of these other guys, didn't call him up. So
they're stingy with those guys, and it's annoying.
Yeah, I really wish that they would break the training wheels off a little bit sooner, because I understand that the MLB is a grown man's game, and it's a lot of grown men that play in the league. But do you really want to have someone that's 25 years old that still has their training wheels on because they were just in AAA for the past 2 seasons for no frickin' reason when they were lighting it up? Kemp was lighting it up for 1.5 years before they finally called him up. And there's this other guy. We highlighted him a couple weeks ago, or at least I did.
Oh, I'm trying to think.
Keaton Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a guy that's been lighting it up.
Did they put him on the 40-man roster?
I don't believe so, but let me double-check that real quick. Because this is a guy that profiles to be kind of exactly what the Phillies are looking for. He doesn't strike out a lot.
He's still in AAA, but obviously he's going to be foreshadowed and overtaken by Bryce Harper.
Right, but last year he had 46 strikeouts, and that was it? He had a ridiculously low amount of strikeouts last year. He has an
outfield secondary. You could definitely put him in the outfield over Nick Castellanos.
And
we know that.
He's a guy that has good average. He's got good on-base percentage. His slugging maybe isn't what you would want it to be from a guy that's listed as first base. But he's still relatively young. He's 23?
24.
24. So that would be someone where if this guy ends up tearing it up at some point, if this guy ends up tearing it up in AAA, just call him up. What are we keeping him down there for? To keep Weston Wilson on the fucking bench?
Yeah.
Seriously, people, what are we doing here?
To keep Weston Wilson
We're keeping Weston Wilson's 31-year-old ass fucking hitting 193 batting average on the bench for what? What are we protecting him for? Because we like the story of the fact he was a 29-year-old prospect when he got called up and his dad cried when he hit a home run? Who fucking cares?
Yeah, I forget going up at 29. The Phillies are so stingy with prospects.
Who fucking cares? You got to start moving on to the next people when you know that the guys that you have in the building aren't good enough for what you're trying to achieve. Weston Wilson ain't cutting it for me.
The Phillies can't hold on to they can't hold on to the fact of moving on. It's going to be Max Lazar at age 30 getting called up from AAA.
And it's dude, at some point this season, if Adam Miller's playing really well, but they're like, oh, well, we don't want to get rid of someone like Edmundo Sosa because there's no one has any options that are left.
Edmundo Sosa's been 240.
Bye, Edmundo. I love you, But
Mundo
am
Sosa's
I
batting 220
really
with.
am I really sitting there and going to not call up Aiden Miller because I'm trying to protect Edmundo frickin' Sosa?
And Mundo Sosa 220 batting average with a
Like,
560 OPS.
what are we doing,
Well,
guys?
Aiden Miller's got a 1200 OPS in
What are we
AAA.
doing in the front office here, people? Where's the decision making?
Oh.
Who's talking about this? Like, and the Phillies have just always been that team that lags behind with their prospects, keeps them in the minors too long. Ryan Howard was 20 freaking 5 before he got called up here. Why do you think he ended up having an Achilles injury before ending that first contract that he got? By the fact that he was freaking 32 at that time, even though he had only been up here for 8 seasons, because he brought him up when he was 20 freaking 5. You bring him up when he's maybe 21 years old and he's got 450 home runs potentially in his career. Instead, he's sitting there with like 289 looking like a scrub. And this is just something that the Phillies have always done. And it just, at some point, if you realize that the guys that you have aren't giving you what you need, just call someone up. Like, what do you really have to lose?
See, that's what I'm thinking too, because they love holding on to these. They love holding on to these bench bats like Weston Wilson and Edmundo Sosa.
Yeah, but we can't see Aiden Miller for the first 75 games because, Weston Wilson needs to be given his fair shot. Fuck Weston Wilson, bro. Fuck him and his fair shot. Get Aiden Miller's ass up here. Like, see if the kid can play.
Well, we have to keep Alec Boehm to have another tantrum after striking out on a pitch right down the middle.
Like, guys, call these guys up and see if they can play.
We got a nobody catcher hitting like 400 with a 1500 OPS in AAA, but we need Garrett Stubbs for the fives. So we have to keep Garrett Stubbs.
Like, seriously. Am I the only one that finds this as ridiculous as it is?
No,
there has to be other people out there.
I'm laughing up a storm.
Because, like, geez, Dave, I know that you're 70-something years old and you probably don't like the young men coming up here taking all the old guy spots, but, like, and I know you traded for Edmundo Sosa, but do you really have that much of a commitment to Edmundo Sosa where you're not willing to call up some guy that's 22 years old to see if he can actually play before the freaking trade deadline so you can know, hey, this kid can play, I don't need to make a trade. This kid can't play, I do need to make a trade.
They'll go off and hit like 500 for like a week straight, and then they'll fall back to the reality where they'll hit like 200 for the rest of the season.
Like Rojas.
Yeah, Rojas, dude.
Rojas had that good start to the year last year, and then he ended up with like, wasn't he hitting like over 300 at one point last year?
We had.
He ended up with like what, 211?
And Rojas is going to be stuck in AAA because of Crawford. And then once Crawford is playing like shit because he's a ground ball only hitter, they're going to be begging for Rojas. And then they're going to be like, why have Rojas when we could just put Otto Kemper, Weston Wilson, and
so basically it's going to be the same exact thing that we were dealing with all last season is going to happen again this season. Unless Justin Crawford really like, shows out and is able to play more than anyone expects him to. Now, one thing I will say is he does hit the ball hard, even though he does hit it on the ground. So maybe he'll be one of those guys that will get those grounders that leak through into the outfield. Like the Tommy Edmonds type of guys, like the Ernie Clements, who, all right, they're not going to like tear the cover off the ball, but
just
they'll hit it hard enough through the infield where it'll get through.
Just get on base.
Right.
He's there as a contact hitter. We're not expecting him to hit 45 home runs in his rookie season. We just want him to get on base.
Right. As long as he's able to do that.
If he's the 9 hitter and he's got plenty of speed, he gets on base. Turner's the leadoff guy. He's still second, and then Turner slaps one into the outfield. That's scoring him.
Now here's the one thing. Looking back at his stats just to make sure, but with his speed, I really don't think they had him stealing many bases last year, strangely enough. But let me double check
Probably
that.
because they didn't want him getting injured in AAA, having to delay his time. Because look what happened with Painter, and then they were going to call him up when he's 27 years old because of, Weston Wilson needs his chance in center field. Yeah, he
He
stole
had 42.
46.
Oh, 46? 40. I'm looking at 2024. Yeah, 2025. He had 46. All right, so he did have a decent amount. There was someone that I thought was like some guy that was listed as a speed guy that I was very surprised when he only had like 9 steals or something like that. I was like, what the heck? But if he's able to get on at the bottom of the lineup and he's able to create havoc on the base paths, especially with Trey Turner and Schwarber and Harper all coming up, then
Yeah, and then you got Alec Boehm as the cleanup hitter.
yeah, you got Alec Boehm as the cleanup guy.
You got Alec Boehm as the cleanup hitter, like Scott Malkinson. I'm Scott Malkinson. I have diabetes. That's Alec Boehm in the lineup when
Oh my goodness.
Schwarber's Eric Hartman, Bryce is Stan, and Trey is Kyle. And then you have Scott Malkinson, and JT is
I'm Scott Malkinson.
JT is Butters.
And when it actually gets to a little bit closer to spring training, I would like to see, I would like to know already who are the guys that are like the non-roster invites that end up getting a shot to come out to make the team. Because there were a couple of guys last year that were those non-roster invites that we highlighted, Otto Kemp being one of them. And also, I've heard Dave Dombrowski mention this player's name a lot, even though I still think he's technically listed as AAA. He's not on the Major League roster, and that's Gabriel Rincones Jr. He has said his name a decent amount in press conferences so far this offseason, so they must have some plan for him to come up here and split time maybe with Marsh.
Yeah, but he's not a good fielder.
No, he's not. So maybe you stick him in left?
I guess, yeah, I don't know. But remember, they're looking for a right-handed platoon.
Isn't Rincones right-handed?
He's left-handed.
He's left-handed?
They're going to have Otto Kemp and Weston Wilson, baby.
And it doesn't really look at this point like Boehm's going anywhere, so I guess if Kemp is going to be playing, he's going to be playing a platoon outfield spot.
Unless they can find like a platoon outfielder.
They probably could.
It's unlikely, but
I really don't know how much this roster is going to change from
not a lot
now up until when spring training actually begins. And what you're looking at is probably 90% of what this team is going to be, at least at the start of the year up until the trade deadline, and then we'll see what happens. But the guys that have come in here, maybe there's one more coming. Maybe. And that's probably it. Unless they're able to move off of other people, they're probably only going to be able to bring in like one more person. And it's looking like that's probably going to end up being JT Realmuto.
Yep, JT, baby. Running it back for the 67th year in a row.
So, one thing I will say about the Mets is the Mets are willing to sit there and go, you know what? Didn't work with Pete Alonso. Didn't work with Brandon Nimmo. Didn't work with all these other guys that we had, and we had them for a long time. So why are we going to give them money to come back here, overpay them, when we didn't get the job done when we had them on this team? So they were willing to cut their losses and turn over a new leaf and try something new. That is at least one thing I can say that the Mets I respect about the front office, because the Phillies refused to do anything
Dave Dombrowski running it back. Braden Marsh, 77 batting average. You love to see it.
So, even though the Phillies do still have a good team, I still don't really think that they're at the same level or the same threshold as the Dodgers.
Oh, God, no.
And even though Toronto has not re-signed Bo Bichette, and they probably are not going to re-sign Bo Bichette, Toronto's still a very, very good team. And so is Seattle, even if they don't bring back Suarez. So there are a lot of other good teams that are out there that I feel like are probably maybe a pedigree above what the Phillies are right now. And the Phillies are kind of in a position where they're not going to get drastically better, or at least I don't think they will. While those other teams are in a spot where they've got young guys that could grow into better roles and to have bigger roles, to have bigger seasons. And I feel like the Phillies are just going to end up getting left behind. I feel like. Kind of like how it happened in 2011.
When they finish with 97 wins and get bounced in the divisional round, I don't know how you would be able to run it back again.
And also, like, we're sitting here doing all this. What if Zach Wheeler's not able to come back?
Mm-hmm.
Or he does come back, but he's 70% of what he was.
That's most likely what's going to happen to Zach Wheeler.
Does anyone think that this team realistically is going to have a shot with the same exact lineup and worse pitching? Like, it's not like the pitching got better. You lost Ranger. You never know what Wheeler's going to be up until you see it. You have no clue what Nola's going to be. Is this going to be the new normal for Nola, where he's going to break down with injuries because he's over 30 years old now and his body's starting to deteriorate because you've thrown him for like 200-plus innings every single year he's been here?
It's like a loophole this offseason, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any better.
Looks like it's not a loophole. It looks like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a loophole is something you're able to get out of. It looks like the Phillies are not. They're in some type
Phillies
of
ain't
bind.
able to get out our Weston Wilson and Mundo Sosa and Johan Rojas.
Well, really it all comes down to, and we said this last year too at the start of the playoffs, if those top three guys are going to disappear in the playoffs, this team is not going to be able to do anything or go anywhere.
Yeah, and that's what happened in the past two postseasons.
Yeah, if Harper and Turner and Schwarber are going to be the leaders on this team, making the big money so that you can't go out there to get anyone else, then those three can't be going freaking 1 for 16 like we were highlighting in Game 3, or 0 for 13 in Game 4, or whatever it was in Game 2 or something like that, where they were just awful against the Dodgers. And it's not like the Dodgers pitching is going anywhere. Glasnow's still there. All the guys that you couldn't hit last year in the postseason, they're still there with the Dodgers. You know? It's not like they're letting people go. It's not like...
Now they got Edwin Diaz, too.
Yeah. They've added maybe, if not the best, at least a top 3 closer in baseball, probably.
Yeah,
in Edwin Diaz. So...
But the Phillies got Taijuan Walker, baby. High five.
And who knows? If they're able to potentially move his contract, that would save them $18 million.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with the Phillies is they pigeonholed them into these horrible contracts that they gave out years ago that they can't get out of. Almost like with the Sixers, how they gave Joel Embiid that horrible contract and Paul George that horrible contract, and now they're never going to be able to get out of those. They're just going to have to play those out up until they finally run their course. You know, like, no team is going to take Joel at the $50 million that he's getting.
At
no
the
team is going to take Paul George.
Same with PG and the level that he's playing at.
And his $40 million per year. Like, no one would be able to actually feasibly take that and sell it to their fans as like, oh yeah, we're making our team better by getting this guy. So the Phillies are kind of in the same position where they just have to let these contracts play out unless they just want to eat the dead money, essentially, that you would have to for Castellanos and Walker. But think about it. Castellanos, Walker, and Bohm. 3 underwhelming players, you would say, right? Those 3 underwhelming players make $47 million against their cap. If that's how much you got to pay for 3 players that are below
underwhelming,
average,
yeah.
How much do you have to pay for a guy that you actually want to get in here? And that's where it's like, even if they do free up some money, I don't really know if there's anyone that's out there that you could actually point to and be like, oh yeah, bringing him in here makes this team so much better.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
Especially for the type of money that they would have to deal out. I just don't know how it really, really gets better for them. But that's my spiel on the Phillies.